looks like.
Hello there, and welcome to the Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. Got the whole crew with us today. We're going to be discussing Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3, The Convert, as well as touching on Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13. What was it
Pabu.
called? Pabu?
Pabu.
Yeah,
Pabu.
fantastic episode, I gotta tell you.
Oh, my word.
If you're here, though, we would appreciate a like. It does help our show get seen more, as well as subscribing so you can see when we release our show. And you never have to wonder if we're here.
Or wander.
We're here. So hit the bell, subscribe.
Or lose the
Like
force.
it. Yeah, yeah, that's how it works.
I won't have to take it from you.
So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm excited to talk about this. There's a lot to talk about with this episode. Whether your opinions on the like or dislike, I think that either way, you have to admit this episode gave us a lot to talk about. And
I came more to
Carl.
the middle on my
did?
second watch through, kind of under, which is pretty common with pretty much any
once you see it twice,
Star Wars episode. Like on your second watch through, you know what to expect. You're not looking for all the things maybe you want in the episode.
Mhm.
And you kind of just take it for what it is and then pick out the important story beats, which
Yeah.
I think is what
I know what you
happened.
mean. The first time I watched it, it was just so much of, what? This is not what I expected out of the show. Because we've never gotten anything like this episode. Anything
we
else
have in
that-
Andor. We did get
Exactly.
some of
This very much felt like an Andor episode, did it not?
Yeah.
And I will say, I know we talked about before trying not to let outside influences impact our opinions on the show. And I will say, like, I know all these opinions that I got as far as, oh, it feels like Andor, or, oh, like, what am I actually watching? I was thinking those in my mind as I was first watching it.
John,
Which,
you can enjoy Star Wars however you want to. It's fine.
can I, though?
John
Can
can.
I?
No, we will. We will. CJ cannot because he likes The Last Jedi. So,
That's fair.
so
Being invalid.
his opinions are just invalid. So it is what it
Fun.
is.
Just the wrong one.
But right off the bat, when I hit play and I saw 51 minutes, I was like, or was it 51 or like 58?
50,
I don't know, dude. It felt like
think it's
forever.
58.
50, yeah.
It was a long episode. I was like, all right, sweet. And then we saw Mando for maybe 12 of them.
Yeah, but that beginning, that
Oh,
intro
it
was
fantastic.
crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty dang good.
Maybe
It-
some of the best dogfighting I'm trying
Seen
to
in
think
Star
of other
Wars?
dogfighting that's ever been better. I mean, you've got if you want to call it a cold open of Revenge of the Sith, but
Yeah,
that
but
was
even
more just
that.
flying through the battle.
Exactly. That wasn't even that much dogfighting. I mean, they just shot some big ships.
They were trying to get from A to B and
Yeah. So,
going along the way.
and that was this. I think genuinely might
Like, I
be.
can't think of.
I mean, you can't really beat the trench run on the Death Star. It's pretty. Just the tension that you feel throughout that,
Yeah.
like the way it was shot, was insanely good. Of course, the graphics and the actual flying of the ships weren't the same.
Models.
Yeah, I mean they were using actual
Toys.
models.
You're using toys.
It worked.
I too have toys.
But I can say though with confidence that I think it was like the best shot actual space combat that we've seen. So there's no getting around that at all.
What, episode 3?
Yes, today.
Okay. Yeah.
Today's episode 3. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant episode, like Star Wars episode 3.
Oh no,
like that
I think
opening
this
scene?
was better. in my
Really?
opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, our opening scene, of course, was mind blowing to see it in theaters.
Yeah.
Especially
I never saw it in theaters.
What?
Oh,
In my parents' eyes, I was too young.
Oh, I mean, it was the first time I saw someone get decapitated on.
yeah, because you guys are like a year younger than me.
Yeah.
and
I would
was
have been
pretty
10
young
years
even.
old.
I
So I
was, like,
theoretically wouldn't have even
I
been
was
allowed,
10. Yeah,
barring
I was, like,
parental guidance.
my
going
dad
into
was living in
junior high.
Texas at the time, and he went and saw it opening night because he had moved down there before we moved down. Just for
Didn't you all drive to him and then you made him take a wrong turn?
No, we drove
that
to
that story?
a theater. This theater, all the theaters were booked. I mean, you guys know what that was like back then. All the theaters were booked, so we had to drive to this like smaller theater in Monroe, Michigan, which is about half an hour.
Yeah.
45
And you
minutes
told
away
your
from us.
family to take a wrong turn.
Well, yeah, we asked
Yeah.
at a gas station, like, hey, which way did we go? He told us the steps. Like, the guy said left. I know he said left. You always tell me how good of a memory I have. It was left. It was right. We missed the opening
They're just
credits,
being nice to you about your memory. They're just
But
being nice.
I did get there in time to see, like, literally walked in as the ship was... or no, we missed the space.
Yeah, you missed the
Yeah.
You
But
missed
they-
the scroll?
They were on the invisible hand when we got there.
Oh.
Oh. So you don't even know what you're talking about saying experiencing it in theater.
Yes, you're correct. But
Anyways.
I've
Second
created
time?
that memory in my head, though.
You didn't see it a second time?
Not when I was 10. No. I
Ah,
saw it
man,
one
dude,
time.
I think that was the very first movie I saw like more than once,
Yeah,
and
I
I
wish
think
I
I
had.
saw it 3 times.
We didn't go to the theaters that much, so we weren't that kind of
Yeah,
family.
that's also, back in the day, theaters were bad, so we didn't go much.
Yeah, that's fair.
You fit just right in at Maranatha.
Luckily, my mom wasn't like that for whatever reason.
Neither of my parents were. We went to the theaters for like just movies we wanted to go
Yeah.
see, but it's expensive to take a family of 5 to the theaters. So,
Yeah, yeah, it was always
anyways,
expensive.
let's dive into
Getting
the
off
subject.
track.
So,
Hmm.
right away, the question that I was wondering as soon as the episode 2 ended was, is she gonna tell Din about
I know.
the mythosaur? And
It's
that question
crazy.
was answered right away. She was not going to.
She kind of baited him and then gave him a chance, and
Well, she just wanted to know if he knew.
So why
Yeah.
wouldn't she tell him?
Well, I guess we're gonna find out. But my
Yeah.
guess,
I think there's
Is
two
this-
options. By the end of the episode, there's two options, which I
She's
think
trying
we
to
can.
challenge him.
my guess is currently, if he wanted to lead Mandalore, he would have the highest claim, being having the Darksaber through combat.
Yeah.
But if you can freaking tame a mythosaur, that's been done once by Mandalore the Great or Mandalore the Ultimate. This show is called a Mandalore the Great. Previous EU called a Mandalore the Ultimate. We're assuming it's the same person. I imagine it is. But I would consider that to be more impressive. And you definitely have more power if you can tame a mythosaur. Like,
Well, I don't even know if Mandalore the Ultimate is the first Mandalore. I'm pretty sure
he is the
Mandalore the
Mandalorian that tamed the mythosaur. He's not the first Mandalorian necessarily.
Okay, because
He
I
was a
thought
Tom.
Mandalore. Okay, because I thought Mandalore the Ultimate was the. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Was the one that fought in the Mandalorian Wars.
I
Isn't
believe he
that
did.
Tar Vizsla? Or no, that was
Tarvis was
the,
the one that turned to the Jedi, become a Jedi.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about like Knights of the Old Republic stuff.
yeah, like
John.
way.
Oh. I can't recall. It's a little boggy, but I know that he did tame a mythosaur. So,
Nice.
and he's the only one to do so. So if Bo-Katan does that,
Yeah.
in my opinion, she has a claim that's
She outranks
probably
him.
stronger. Yes, and she could at least challenge him and probably get many Mandalorians on her side. However, the thing is he doesn't necessarily want that role right now. So I don't know that she would even need to challenge him, but I think people would follow her nonetheless. So
Well, that's the thing that sucks is like, she's not even gonna bother unless she can fight to challenge him because she knows it's not gonna.
I don't
I mean-
think so. I think that she could have that without challenging him. And that's the thing about this.
I
Their
don't know the
dynamic.
Death Watch, man.
I don't know. I feel like people would respect that more.
David, you don't think that if she gets the Mythosaur, the Death Watch or the Children of the Watch would follow her?
I don't think that's enough. No.
But now that what if now that I mean,
Now
we're
that
skipping
she
to
is
the
a
end,
child
but
of
now
the
that
Watch.
she's following the creed,
Yeah,
No.
I don't think so.
I disagree.
No.
I do too.
Darksaber. Sorry.
I just feel like beating Moff Gideon is not as if you're following the most powerful person in your group, beating Moff Gideon is not as impressive or as powerful as controlling a mythosaur. I mean,
I
the
don't
thing is
either.
the size of freaking skyscrapers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't either, but still.
I think it'd
I
be
think
worthy of
Usually,
her
like
find
taking a
out.
tradition
shot.
bound,
No,
people will be bound by tradition.
in comes the
But
question.
that is tradition.
Does she even want to fight Din?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the idea that they are maybe not necessarily developing feelings for each other, but they've definitely bonded on some type of level to where they're at least friends at this point.
Yeah, that's what I've been wondering too, because like, I don't know, you read and you're like, oh no, it's gonna be like the next power couple.
Yeah.
It's the Mandalorian
Well,
power couple.
and
Who gets
some-
the sword?
Some commentators or, podcasters, YouTubers and stuff have said, come on, stupid thing, have said that Bo might be the primary antagonist of this season.
Yeah.
Which I think would be an extremely interesting plot line.
But
I-
at this point, I don't think so. Because
I
I
don't
think
think
it's
it's
kind
going
of
that
clear
way
that the story beats are Moff Gideon.
Yes.
They've dropped so many hints.
And Bo has said that the thing that she hated
Got a
most
whole
was the
episode
civil
for it.
war infighting among the Mandalorians. I can't see her wanting to see that happen again.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So I don't think she's going to be an antagonist. I do think instead they may rule together or something like that.
And that's what I was thinking. Like, they're gonna be a power couple.
I'd like to see
Gonna
it.
happen.
I don't know how you have relations with your spouse in Mandalore with you keeping your helmet on, but
Well, maybe they become one Mandalorian and then
they can take
it
their
doesn't
helmets
count.
off. Maybe
It doesn't count anymore.
Maybe.
Like
I don't know. I don't know how that
see-through
works.
visors,
I don't know what your face looks like. How could I marry you?
epoxy helmets where you can see through it.
So, all very interesting stuff. But let's get into some of the stuff in the beginning scenes.
Yeah. Agreed.
They fly to her planet Corvala. I believe that's what it's called.
Corvala, yeah.
Something along those lines.
Potato.
Let's run with it.
And they're about to split up, yada, yada, yada. But immediately they are attacked by
Ambushed.
TIE interceptors, which I think is
That's
a
one.
very important note that it was not TIE fighters. And we'll get
Is
to
it,
that.
it means that, or it felt like they're coming from some place, because obviously ties,
Don't
to
have
my knowledge,
hyperdrives.
don't have
not,
hyperdrives.
They do not have hyperdrives.
Either of those.
Interceptors.
Unless they, I believe interceptors do.
Nope.
They do not? Okay, thank you.
Nope.
I couldn't remember
Only
from
the
Rebels.
only that other special one had a hyperdrive, right?
Only
the one with the
the
three.
Defender.
Oh,
Only
the TIE
Defender.
Defender, yes.
That's okay. It's Defender.
Maybe that's what I'm getting confused then, because
bombers.
I saw TIE interceptors and I immediately thought Thrawn, but he was a big proponent of the Defenders.
Yep. And
Okay.
like even TIE fighters, don't have shields.
And they're short range,
Bombers
all that,
have shields.
all that bit.
Yeah, and then I don't know if interceptors. I don't think interceptors have shields.
They're
or if
much
they
more.
do,
They're much faster.
might
though,
have a
They're
little
correct?
faster, and
Yeah,
they
yeah, they're way
focus on the
faster.
firepower.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're
Right.
way more firepower heavy. They're
Not as
I
maneuverable.
think they're
as TIE
faster
fighters.
than A-wings. So I think they're like the fastest fighter there is.
Well, not faster than the N1.
Well, yeah.
Modified N1.
Yeah, that's
So they're coming from some big
Thank you, Isaac.
mothership, is what has to be.
yeah. Somebody's got like a star. Somebody's like lurking with a star destroyer.
Yeah, I imagine
I hope we
somewhere
see
on the,
the
edge.
Chimera.
Now,
Which we
Go
never
ahead.
saw. We never saw Moff Gideon's ship get Corvette taken down. Or
I
anything.
imagine Bo took it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Actually,
dude.
that's a good point. It was in
they
the end of
took
season
it-
2.
We talked about this. Like
Yeah.
they took it, and her friends, the other Mandalorians, just dipped out on the Star
All
Destroyer.
right, Bo, you know, yeah, they just jettisoned her in an escape pod back to Corvala.
Yeah, that
like,
kind of
see
doesn't
ya.
make sense.
Like,
but
you get
I mean,
a fighter.
Well, the whole reason they were sticking with her was because they were intending on her
Getting the
getting the
Darksaber.
Darksaber, and then when she
Yeah,
didn't
that's
get
true.
it, they're like, "All right, you failed. We're not going to follow you any longer."
yeah.
Dude, like, you lost a Star Destroyer. How do you lose a Star Destroyer?
It was a light cruiser, actually.
I mean,
But yeah, that thing's not housing that many. Even Moff Gideon's ship is not housing that many.
Oh, you think so?
No, you saw the TIE fighter bay for the
There's-
Moff Gideon ship.
I mean, it's at
many
least
of them
got
are
like
there?
It had
There's
like
Yeah,
8
true.
TIE fighters in it.
I
A
don't
yeah,
light
know.
cruiser.
that's true. And then there were about what 8 that came in the first wave, and then another 20 plus
Yeah.
four,
So
three,
we're
three, four
talking at
bombers.
least one Star Destroyer, like a full Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Um,
Chimera, please.
What are you saying, David?
That's Thrawn ship.
The Chimera?
Say- Yeah.
The Chimera.
Chimera? Is it?
Yes,
is
you
it
must
Chimera?
have read it in text rather than the audiobook.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the
Nice.
Chimera. You're saying Chimera.
Well,
I
it's
had
like-
no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah. I was like, at first I was
Chimera.
questioning it when you weren't like responding. I was like, man, this might be wrong.
Yeah, it's the Chimera. It's okay. We got you, David. Reading things in books in Star Wars, you never know. But
It's true.
yeah, Thrawn's ship, the Chimera. Now,
Like black too, which is cool.
originally I was very heavily thinking this was a sign of Thrawn coming. Because it didn't make sense.
Like right then and there.
Well, not, I mean, pointing forward too.
Well,
Like-
yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Definitely.
However, as I watched it a second time, I really think, especially with the scene we see later as they're talking about Gideon, I just don't know that we're going to get that. And that we're going to get Thrawn until the Ahsoka show.
Definitely.
So
Like,
I don't think that this was.
Moff Gideon still has some play.
And I don't think it would make sense for Thrawn to do this. Like, he's a very
It's
big
kinda
picture
random.
kind of guy. It seems random. Gideon seems like the guy who would want revenge and would go blow up her home because she knows where she is. Or he knows where she is.
I still, and this is kind of going out of nowhere, I still think that, or I think that Gideon is a Mandalorian or a former Mandalorian.
Interesting.
Just because he has so much hatred for these Mandalorians.
I don't think so. I don't think
You don't think
Mandalorians
so?
operate that way, man. They're too bound to
Well,
the creed.
he's a former. He's
Yeah,
former.
I don't know.
Maybe he's
Taken
Death
by the
Watch?
Empire.
I think if he were,
I
he'd
think
be
that was
better
a
fighter.
theory somewhere. There was a theory somewhere else.
I don't vibe with that one. I don't think it makes sense
No?
personally. No. But
Night's Watch?
so that saddened me a little bit if we're just gonna have a rerun of seasons 1 and 2 where we're fighting Gideon again. Like, I'd like to see the story progress a little bit personally. CJ? I saw you nodding. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah. Once y'all said, like, if Gideon's the main bad guy again, I don't know. It's like a cartoon. It's like
Exactly.
Phineas and
back
Ferb,
again.
where he just like runs away.
Keep fighting
Yeah,
Dr.
he's
Death
back.
Got out.
Smirks, he gets away. Like, come on, you gotta.
They're probably gonna pose it up like we're supposed to think he's the big bad, and then someone else comes behind him, the real
Yes.
bad, or we get heavy references to Thrawn.
Yeah, and I would not mind that if, like, this whole time they're assuming it's Gideon back because we don't know if he escaped the War Tribunal or if he
Got
had
flayed.
his mind flayed or his mind wiped. Like, if they keep pointing towards that and then the last episode reveals it's actually been Thrawn and he's got a much bigger army than before we ever thought, or something like that.
I don't think we see Thrawn this season. No
Yeah.
way.
I just
It's
think
too
it
big
should
of a
go that way.
reveal to be in the Mandalorian for like a full-on reveal. They could do something like we see his hand like touching, like opening a book or something like that.
Mhm.
But
There's be an end credit scene, I'm sure.
So Isaac said, what about the armor versus Bo-Katan and the two opposing ideals being what forces this civil war and Mando's kind of caught in the middle of it?
That'd be cool.
I personally think a Mandalorian
about it.
civil war would be the coolest way to do it. I think it'd be a very interesting story and to kind of see who comes out on top and which way does Mandalore follow. Because I think just fighting this rebuilding empire over and over again without ever getting anywhere and knowing that eventually it's the First Order doesn't give me an interesting enough of a story. I like that idea. However, I don't think it's going to happen just because Bo has no army right now. If they're going to start this in 5 episodes, it's going to have to be insane storytelling or it's going to suck and be too rushed.
yeah,
And then the armorer's group of people is like 20 or 30 Mandalorians. Like, that's not a civil war. That's like a scuffle between families. You know what I mean?
One skirmish.
Yeah, it's like you got one battle. You know what I mean?
Oh, we're
And
done.
I don't even think any of them have starships either. So
because they used to be at least 100-fold in
something
season
like
1.
that, yeah.
Then they all got chopped down by the Empire.
So that's one weird thing about this season is we're about to enter our 4th episode, the halfway point. And I still don't really know where this season's going.
Yeah.
You know?
Because we thought that the whole season was going to be a fight to get to the mines,
I'm glad it wasn't.
and we were pleasantly surprised
Yep.
that was not the
Especially
case.
because once they got to the mines, all it was a pond that's deep that has a monster at the bottom.
Which
Yeah.
we
And
kind of
has
skipped
weird
over
water.
that. Yeah, because they made it sound like he literally, I didn't realize they were that deep. And he literally just fell,
Yeah.
which that seems kind of weak.
Well, I mean, it makes
Maybe
sense.
a nitpick, but it's kind of weak.
But he fell extremely fast. Like,
and you
Yeah,
were
no,
something
he was-
grabbing you.
If he wasn't pulled, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, it does make sense that you have heavy armor and you're going to fall.
But isn't Beskar still pretty light compared to other
It's
armor?
supposed to be.
Yes.
Maybe he just doesn't know how to swim.
He literally had a millstone wrapped
But, like, the
around
dude
his...
torpedoed
ankle.
straight down.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like he had a
Like
bowling ball
5
tied to
seconds.
him. So, like,
It wasn't
freaking
just like
bootstraps,
down.
bootstraps.
It was like out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't
True,
make
'cause
make sense.
That's the
Maybe
edge
there's
of
a
the
very
rock.
strong current.
The mythosaur was
guess.
like,
Yeah, he was breathing. Yeah. So that didn't make sense to me either. But
Yeah.
whatever, I can overlook that.
but before we get too far along, so I thought when Mando finally got to his, first of all, he did the drop out of Bo-Katan's ship.
Sick.
That was pretty
that
sweet.
whole sequence was just awesome to watch.
So I wanted to see him from a wide shot jump into a ship and then shoot up with the TIE interceptor coming in to take him down.
And then
So I was
just
like, eh. But
what do you
then they made up because they did kind of a close up shot of him shooting off. I wanted like a wide shot to kind of give perspective.
Oh,
So just
sure.
kind of picky, but then they made up for it by the vertical
Mhm.
chase and then the drop,
The drop,
and then he
yeah.
took out.
Yeah,
That
I
was
kind of
pretty
got
cool.
goosebumps on that. Also,
Yeah.
some of the things they did too that were sick. One of the scenes they did where like I think it was Bo-Katan's ship
Yeah,
coming
her
around.
ship is one of these.
Yeah, I did that. That was really cool. But also the camera work where like it came out and then it zoomed in on her ship. I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Like,
Yeah,
drop.
that thing must have been planned out so very well.
Oh yeah, and the whole thing was digital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it all
Lame.
looked so real. It was great. It was absolutely great. The water, loved all of
Gosh,
it. No, I'm really starting to like Bo-Katan. Like I would watch her own show for sure.
And it feels, it's obviously Katie Sackhoff, same voice actor as the Clone Wars, but it just feels coherent with Clone Wars.
Yeah, it fits so well. I do worry again that we are not going.
To do
Just-
much.
We'll dive into this episode. So I think that more or less covers up. They escape via jettison or via light speed, and we all know where they're going.
The one final thing to kind of tie
Go
into
ahead.
the Clone Wars feel when Bo-Katan said, "I grew up flying these cliffs," and then proceeds to hit the edge.
Yeah.
So like that's definitely something they would do in Clone
Oh
Wars.
yeah, for sure.
That's
Ja,
funny.
ja, 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 ja.
But no, we can touch. I'll touch that in a minute. So we're gonna go ahead and skip to the end where we see them again, and then we'll come back and talk about all the Dr. Pershing stuff. So they get to the planet that the Children of the Watch are. Bo's yet to take off her helmet, and Paz.
Which I
Vizsla-
thought she was gonna just instinctively
off.
take her helmet off when her home was getting destroyed, just out of like
shot.
disbelief, wanting to see it with her own eyes,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But she kept it on, which there was the reason for that.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, if
she.
you just pour some of the water on you from the mine, doesn't that count?
So we'll get to that in a second here. Like it makes me very much wonder about this whole thing. But Paz Vizsla is very skeptical, of course, of both of them. I don't know how much he buys into the bathing waters making you a true Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that's a good
because
point.
everyone around him says, you're a Mandalorian now, he kind of has to accept it. He's forced to.
And it sounds like Paz / John Favreau. I know his voice was modulated anyways, but it sounded a little deeper than in the past.
Really? I didn't catch
I don't
that.
know if that kind of stuck out to you
They're
guys.
getting better.
But the one thing I do want to talk about with this is the idea that she's not taken this creed to follow the way. She's not like invested into it, and they're just all of a sudden like, because you've been in these waters, you're good to go.
Because they just follow the creed to a T.
But like, so could you just take off like casual Friday, and everyone could take their helmets off, and then you just go take a bath in the waters?
That crossed my mind, and I think
I was like, I would map this course out.
Yeah, just be like, all right, how's it going?
back.
What's up, boys? And be like,
Back
all right, I gotta go take a
rotation.
quick swim, and we'll be good to go. Like,
I think to a point they would probably cut you out if it was a regular occurrence or a habit
Yeah.
or a lifestyle of living
but
that
it's
way.
just, you would think that's the case, but then this whole thing with Bo-Katan makes it feel like, as long as you were in the waters, you're fine. You don't have to actually like follow the creed to a T.
Yeah, because she said, well, when the armor said you can leave if you want, was she saying you can come and go as you please? Or if you want to leave the creed, leave our covert and not be
both.
part, you can just go
Yeah.
and take your helmet off and whatever, no hard feelings.
Yeah, they're not gonna like hunt her down. Like they weren't gonna hunt
Okay.
down Mando, and you know what I mean, and kill him
Okay.
because he took it off. But he just
Fair.
wouldn't be accepted among them.
Also, we talked about it, I think it was the last time I was on, where they said even like taking the vibes I was getting from this episode is that you literally can't take your helmet off ever at all. And I know we talked about before, you can take it off, but not in front of people.
Right.
But the way that the
Well, yeah, she's
armorer
like,
was
"Did
saying
you
it,
even-
she was
did
like,
you take
have
it
you
off?"
taken your helmet off?
I think
Not-
it's implied, meaning in front of
You
someone.
think so?
Yeah, because then you have to take it off to eat,
Do you though?
and just yes,
Because Mando took it off to eat the Pog soup.
dude, you would get so many infections and stuff if you.
I
never-
know, but I'm just saying, like,
Not if
No,
it
they
stinks.
definitely-
letter of the law.
They just can't take it off in front of someone. That's what they always say. Have you shown your face and stuff like that?
Is there anything else to the creed besides not taking your helmet off?
I mean, they
Good
they say the
combat.
whole creed. They say the creed in
Don't they say it in
the
season
beginning
one?
of this episode. The kid says it in the beginning of the
Do they
first
make a
episode.
big deal about anything besides the helmet, though? I don't know. I feel
They
like
talked
in
about
3
giving your life to Mandalore and living by combat.
So you can kill your brother, but if you keep your helmet on, it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but
It
like,
is a dumb.
how is that different from like regular Mandalorians? Like,
No, the
nothing
only
else
thing that's
besides-
different is the helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what is this?
Yeah, it's weird.
I wonder if it's because like they think they're gonna. I wonder if the rule was made partially to keep them alive.
It
Yeah,
was.
the
That's-
rule is to
that's, they
conceal their
explained that in
numbers.
season 1.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to conceal
That
their
was in
numbers.
season 1.
So
So they would
easy
go
to
up at
pick
different
out,
times.
It's easy to pick out someone's face, but it's hard to memorize someone's armor, even though their armor is all pretty distinctly different. So
Yeah.
It's very colorful.
Like we use 2 colors, a primary and a secondary. Every Mandalorian's the same.
Oh, did you guys notice that the Mandalorians from the Lego were all in there?
oh, was it
Oh,
actually?
Lego Battle Pack?
Yeah. Huh.
I did notice like the green one was there.
And
I
then you
didn't
had the
see
girl.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially that one,
Yep. I remember her.
and then the green one, and then the brown one.
Dude, that's like the best battle pack, I swear.
It is a good one. I've got it. But
I
all
bought,
my
like,
all my
4 of 'em.
minifigs are currently in a
I've-
Tupperware container.
4 of them as well.
I haven't figured out how I want to store them yet or display them.
Yep.
So where were we? We're at
I think that about wraps up the stuff with Din.
one
And
more
just
thing.
Where are we gonna go here with Bo-Katan?
Yeah. So I think Bo's got 2 options. We've alluded to it or just flat out said it. She's either. I think there's a chance she might start believing
Yeah. And
this
just join
mumbo
up.
jumbo just because
She's
if you think
been
about
so
it,
isolated.
yeah, she's got kicked out. She's been part of the supposed tight Mandalore group, but what happened? They all left her. She sees this. They literally welcome her with open arms. She does the bathing. She keeps her helmet on, and they literally all are. They've never met her before. Maybe they've even hated
they're
her
thriving.
as a rival clan, and they all immediately walk around her and pat her on the back, say
Mm-hmm.
welcome, welcome, give her the right hand of fellowship. Same with Mando, and then. So she's either like getting in on this, like maybe this is how we should do things because I've tried it a different way and it hasn't worked. Or, like we talked about, she's playing the long game. She's trying to use this crew to get to Mythosaur because they had that one shot where it focused on the Mythosaur metal sculpture on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not. How did you guys interpret that? I'm not. I kind of interpreted it. Could interpret it either way, honestly. How did you guys take that shot?
I would lean more towards her not joining. I think she wants to claim it.
She's
as,
using
like,
him,
not even using him because he's not trying to rule. She
or
just
using the
knows-
clan because she doesn't have a clan, so she's kind of just like joining this clan for now because it's convenient.
I guess I don't know. Like, to be honest, like they said you're good, and then they ended it. So I don't even know how long she's gonna stay.
Yeah, because she literally doesn't have a home now. She's got nothing.
Yeah,
She's got a ship.
maybe she's gonna try and like tell them about it to get them all to go to Mandalore
Yeah, they're probably
and
gonna
like start over
attack.
there. But I don't know. To be honest, she doesn't seem like she's capable of high level manipulation. She's pretty straightforward.
True.
So I think she might spill the beans to the armor to get them to all to go, but like I don't know. I don't
man.
think it's some like long game that she's not a politician like kind of person. Like, she's not
Schemer.
devious.
I
Yeah.
think she does do what's in her best interest, though, and if she feels that it's in her best interest to go back and tame this thing.
Yeah, but she's not gonna like manipulate the entire clan, is what I'm saying, and will use them. She's just gonna go do it and then use that to tell them that
Oh,
she has the right to rule.
Sure.
I think she'll like try to get him to go.
Yeah, but I agree. I just don't think it's like a plot.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Which then that would cut out Bo being any sort of antagonist.
Yeah, I don't think she's an antagonist.
I do think that next episode we're gonna be introduced to our primary conflict, though.
I hope
we
so.
better.
They need-
I feel like we have to because right now there's no conflict in the life of Din Djarin whatsoever, none. You know what I mean?
Well, so if you go back to the second season, the first half was Din trying to find the Jedi, and so halfway through he gets to the planet, and then the child's kidnapped, and so they have that conflict for the second half. And so I guess they're following the same formula where the first half they introduce it, he has to be redeemed. And so now for the first three he's redeemed, and then they'll start a second conflict for the second half. That's this time I feel like it's going to be kind of separate. It's not going to be as well connected, but it's the same
Yeah.
overarching narrative structure.
It's just interesting that it took 3 episodes to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, essentially, we were hoping it wouldn't take a long time. We thought it would, and then we're like, oh, well, it was done in the second episode. But now we're 3 episodes in, and that's really all that's happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bait and switch.
Yeah. So
I don't think I don't know. I feel like they need to connect the issues. Like in the first one with trying to find the Jedi and then the child being kidnapped, those are different, but they're at least related enough to where one season it makes sense for this all to be in one season. And in this one, I don't understand how him being redeemed and
allows
then
him to
leading
work
the
with
Mandalorian, the Mandalorians, and working with them. It has
Yeah.
to be that. Otherwise, it's not going to make a lot of sense if he goes out by himself.
yeah, I agree.
Which
True.
I think that was this episode's attempt, was to connect the future plot with the beginning by kind of doing like something like this, where we've got Mando and then
what's
the
going on in
Doctor
the
plan.
galaxy.
and so they're kind of doing the episode like this.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
they'll
And that is why I think that we're
throughput
gonna,
the Pershing story.
it is why I think we're going to continue to see the Empire, or what's really becoming the First Order. And I think that this show and, again, the Bad Batch are kind of working together right now in connecting and explaining the sequel trilogy. I think
I hate it.
I think that's the underlying tone of what we're seeing here. I mean, look at how heavily both of these shows are talking about cloning, right?
Yeah.
That's like a huge theme to both of these shows. And ever since season 1 of Mandalorian, it's been talking about cloning. And we haven't really known what the purpose of it was. And this last
We have,
episode,
but we haven't.
Correct. Like, we have known because we know what happens. But like, if you were just watching
characters
Mandalorian for the first
and-
time,
yeah.
exactly. So I think that's what they're trying to do, is they're kind of trying to say, okay, the fans originally didn't like the prequels. They watched the Clone Wars and read a bunch of books, and now they love the prequels. Maybe we can get people on board with the sequels by connecting some stuff.
Which I hate that argument.
Me too.
Of like, the Clone Wars made the prequels so much better. Like, no, in our minds, it didn't make it better. The story was still there. The story was defendable. Anakin's downfall was believable. If you sit down and think about the steps that he took and what we saw, it just gave us more content.
Yes.
That was cool.
I mean, I do think it definitely added to the story, and it made it better in the sense of there's more complexity that was added in, and more we have a much stronger relationship with those characters now.
Yeah.
As well.
But it didn't tell us, it realistically didn't tell us anything that we didn't already know.
Correct.
Honestly.
And that's what the sequel trilogy is trying to do. The sequel or what's happening now. The sequel trilogy was poorly written, had a lot of gaps, and this is more so filling gaps in like plot holes, not just like stuff that we didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's not even.
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's not even just like plot holes. It's like
Story
I don't know.
beats.
The change from 8 to 9. I know y'all don't like 8.
Oh, but I
but
will
even
agree
in
that
not liking either one.
yeah.
The difference
mean-
between like 8 to 9 and how they just flipped ruined any chance they had of having shows like this and all of the side content make
Yes.
things better.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Because having the Emperor come back was dumb, and you can't make it not dumb
Yeah.
with a bunch of shows.
Exactly.
Now, I will argue this though.
Well, it's just dumb that how they did it too. Like, there wasn't any cool origin for him coming back.
Right.
Like, for instance, a Dark Jedi has to smuggle his infant, test tube and fights Jedi along the way and brings him back.
You talking about the book?
And all that. Well, yeah, like Dark Empire, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Because it's not that
more or
people
less.
hate the idea of Palpatine coming back. I mean, some people do hate the idea of Palpatine coming back.
in Dark Empire 2, then like when they kept doing it.
Yeah. some people do hate the idea of it, but it was just done so poorly. I mean, we've all said before, the line "somehow Palpatine returned" is maybe the worst line in cinema history, because there was nothing else that was ever put in around it. I did watch a podcast about it. Theory was talking about it, and he said when you read the book of Episode 9, it makes a lot more sense. They really go into detail as to how that all worked. And I do think there's some hope in that respect of making the story make more sense. And I think the shows are trying to do that. Because I know that what the shows are pointing toward is this dumb thing that happened in the movies. But it's interesting. And seeing Palpatine have this much power and control and have a cult following him that's bringing him back, it seems like something Palpatine would do. You know, even if he died, he wanted his power to live on so he could come back. So that part makes sense to me, and it's interesting. And I think that as far as the story itself goes, it's making the story slightly better. Is it making the sequels good movies? No, not at all. But at least since that is the reality of what Star Wars is, we're never going to get a retcon. I don't think I necessarily want one. I think that'd be bad. But
it just sets a bad precedent.
I'm all for them trying to make it better if they can. So I would rather, if I got to choose one or the other, I'd rather go to a new timeline entirely than focus on that. But
Agreed.
It's being done pretty well. Like this episode with
Dr.
Pershing, I felt was pretty interesting. Certain beats of it. There were some slow points for sure.
Yeah.
But certain beats of it and certain points to it I thought were pretty interesting. So
Very strange pacing.
yeah.
Let's get
into that. So
pacing.
we go right to Coruscant and we see Dr. Pershing delivering
right to the
opera
place
house.
where Palpatine and
Anakin talking about Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Oh, that's
which we get that same theme when Pershing goes dark.
Yeah, so when Pershing started talking about or he decided to
be menacing.
Well, yeah, he decided
be the baddie.
He decided to do what he thought was the right thing.
Yeah.
But when he decides to do that, we hear the Plagueis theme song. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
Star Wars Theory.
The theme song.
That's
a funny way of saying it.
Yeah. Star Wars Theory was like, does this mean we're going to see Plagueis? I was like, dude, no. It does not. It just means that, like...
I know, you're like, bro,
it's
do
an
you
illusion.
even understand this timeline? Like, get out of here.
Plagueis has been dead for like 100 years, man.
Is this when Revan comes in? Like, bro, like,
Somehow
turn the clock
Plagueis
around.
returned. But very interesting speech. As he talks about... It was weird, kind of like, why is he even in this position to be speaking to, like, this opera house? Maybe it's just because they understand, like, the science of what he was doing was interesting.
Shame. They all give their public confession.
Yeah. But the thing was, though, is, like, he wasn't allowed to continue to work on that. You know what I mean? If they were, like, saying, hey, this guy is being brought into the New Republic and he's going to be a valuable asset in our community, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense why he's presenting his work to everybody. But the fact is that he's just going to be a pencil pusher in the archives or whatever. It doesn't make sense that they would have this guy come up and talk about his illegal things that he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought that was real weird too.
Strange.
I just took it as like I said, a public confession of, all right, here's what I did wrong. Maybe it helps because they said the amnesty housing was way better than the reintegration housing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was kind of the final, all right, do this and you'll move into amnesty housing.
Maybe, but I feel like that
Maybe it's like
not that many
probation.
people would show up to watch all of these.
Also, like,
They're bored.
He had such a positive spin on it and how it was gonna like help people and all of that.
Well, and I do think that he genuinely, when he got into this, was just trying to be able to help people not have disease, is essentially what he was going for.
I know, but what I'm saying is, why have that and that positive talk for a guy that's not even like working on it?
Mm-hmm.
So
Like, he's not
I'll
even
tell you why.
affiliated with it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because they're building the foundation for, in this episode, for him to resent the New Republic
Yeah.
and rationalize breaking the rules to continue his research. Which they kind of build that throughout the whole episode of even with the
Showing
robot
back up
asking
with
him the
Gideon.
questions of are you having undue stress at your work or colleagues or the New Republic? They're kind of right off the bat, he says no, no, no. But then each day, he experiences things to push him to rationalize
Mm-hmm.
breaking the rules.
Yeah, but from the Republic's perspective, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Because they think cloning is wrong. So they're drawing the hard line at any cloning. We're not going to do.
Yeah,
We're
but
not
why
gonna be a
would
part
they
of it.
But
have
why would they have him have such a talk like that? Like a positive talk about all the good it could do if they're gonna have that hard stance.
I don't.
It seems
I feel like
counterproductive.
some of that was just like him, like
groveling
kissing butt.
and yeah.
But like,
I think they like seeing former Empire followers grovel.
yeah, they're like, oh, we can change them and bring
The
them to
whole
light
New Republic
side."
didn't really make sense to me in this
Yeah,
I
episode.
no,
agree.
it
It
seemed-
didn't. A lot of it didn't make sense. Which
I
don't you
don't
think
think so.
wouldn't Princess Leia be there?
I feel like she would do a good job. Like Princess Leia and redhead.
He
Han
was
Solo.
stayed a lot.
No, he wouldn't. But what's the redhead
No,
girl?
Mon
Mon
Mothma.
Mothma. I feel like they would, the way that they saw how the Republic fell and what the Empire became, I feel like they would have put together a pretty strong government. And this government that we see just seems like such a joke. And I get that we just saw mostly the amnesty program where they're pretty much like brainwashing people more or less to not be imperial sympathetic anymore. But it was just so odd. And part of it was even just like the uniforms people wear, the way the people were talking, like that scene right after he gave
Numbering
his speech.
people.
Yeah, numbering people
That
by
just seemed very weird.
yeah, it didn't make sense to me. I was just like, I think what they're trying to point toward is this idea that the Republic wasn't good, even though they thought they were. And that's why the Separatists were breaking off like a lot. And we see that beat in the Clone Wars. Like, some of the Separatists were breaking off because the Republic never really actually helped them.
And Palpatine was at the helm,
Yeah. And,
causing discord.
and then Navarro, the planet that Grief Karga is at, is like, we don't
Yeah.
want to be a part of the New Republic. We want to be an independent system, right? And I think what we're trying to get at, or what Disney's trying to get at, is that the New Republic is not really a very good government. Like, it's not made anything better. Essentially, it's the same with a different face. And it's not like imprisoning people and enslaving people, but otherwise, like, people are pretty much washing their hands of the problems of the galaxy. The elite rich are still the elite rich in Coruscant. The one guy even mentions, Rebels, Empire, New Republic. It's all the same to me. So I think that's what they're trying to get at. Oh, CJ, oh, never mind. I was looking at the YouTube. I saw your mouth moving on YouTube, which is in delay, and I was like, I don't hear anything.
Which that one guy or his wife or whatever said, we try not to get involved. And I thought that was, I don't know if it was an intentional callback to DJ, Don't Join from Last Jedi. We try not to get involved. We try not to join.
I don't remember what you're referring to.
So when that guy says, oh, I was about to get enlisted. Can you imagine me enlisted? And then his wife or significant other said, we try not to get involved.
No, but what are you talking about in The Last Jedi?
Oh, the guy's name was DJ?
Yeah.
The guy who's doing the
remember?
arms selling?
Yeah.
It's
like
DJ stands for Don't Join.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It did go right over my head.
It was such a great movie.
Oh,
You didn't pick up on all
so-
the little details?
A couple other things in that scene, as well as later on when the Mon Cala are talking. Is the audio just not matching the mouths moving for you guys for aliens?
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
rough sometimes with those
Yeah.
Monica.
And not just the Mon Cala, like every alien. It's just like it doesn't make
Muppety.
sense. Yeah, and it doesn't
Very
sound like
Muppety.
it's almost like the audio doesn't even sound like it's coming from their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was
Record it
weird.
in the booth.
It just seemed a little weird.
I feel like they got that right even in like A New Hope.
Episode 6.
Yeah. Like
The Moncala at the end, he sounded like just a random.
a random dude.
He's just like,
Yeah.
He should sound like a fish person.
this
Like-
isn't a mind flare.
and then he goes-
this has been repurposed.
Yeah, he's like, or what the guy goes, it's a trap. It was a trap. And then the two Mon Cala like look at each other for a second. You're like, oh my gosh, for real. All right.
I
Anything
could do with
else
the
on
trap
this?
one, but they could take the other ones out
Yeah.
and make the voice actually like somewhat
Yeah,
believable.
I just feel like the editing team has to see these things and be like, oh, we need to scrub this or buff this or whatever, or amplify this sound or slow it down or re-record with a different voice. You know what I mean? Like, how does that stuff not get
Or
picked up on?
directionally change it to another side of
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
audio input.
I just feel
Well,
like
and,
that
like-
wouldn't be hard.
Yeah, and like the Mon Calamari, they're pretty easy to do like impressions of. They just like, yeah, they just like slur a little bit, like.
Just come out with all these racial slurs from the Moncala.
Well, no, he sounded like
Yeah,
these
that is
hateful
what I meant.
aliens.
he sounded like the Moncala that should have been on the fishing ship.
Well, I felt like those Moncala
Last
in
season.
season 2 were fine.
Yeah,
Were they not? I don't remember. any
yeah, they were
issues.
fine.
So yeah, whatever.
But he just had that like farmer voice.
Yeah, he
He's
just
a farmer.
sounded like a dude inside of a costume. But it was not inside the costume. It was someone else saying it while the guy in the
Sounds
costume
like a
was
dude
moving
in
his
a
voice.
booth.
Yeah. I was like,
Disembodied.
oh, come on. All right, so let's get into the story here, actually, of what goes on. So Dr. Pershing is wrestling with the idea of being... Oh,
His
yeah.
little tick?
What was that all about?
I mean, it's the year he got shot on, which I
Right,
picked up on.
but
I don't know what it
was
meant.
Very intentional of them showing him doing this.
He did it twice
He did it the one time when he was being interviewed.
in the speech.
Yep.
And then in the speech.
And also in the speech. So, like, someone said, is it when he's lying? But, like, I don't think the story about his mom, he was lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense to lie about.
Yeah. But then
Because he even admitted he talked to the G68 about it as well. So why would he lie to her?
Yeah. And then he also does it right before he says, like, he's fine. Maybe it's just when he's uncomfortable or something. I don't know. But it just seems like a weird thing to add in there.
Or he's reminiscing about, like, the New Republic shot my ear off. I don't know.
To save his life. The guy had a gun to his head and she shot him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bitterness.
Maybe we'll figure something out, but it was just like so long and drawn out and like nothing else going on. Like he
Yeah,
wasn't
it was intentional
very
by
intentional.
the actor, the director,
Yes.
the cameraman.
Yes.
Like it was supposed to mean something.
I don't know what that was all about. I guess we'll find out later, hopefully.
I was hoping you
Maybe
guys
we
would know.
will, maybe we won't, because his mind might be wiped.
Wiped.
The funny thing is, like, what if they just wipe
Blade.
his wind or can't talk.
That's all right.
Anyways, what if they just wipe his mind up to the point where like he got captured, so all he thinks he is like an Imperial, just like
Do
just
you
Neo, just going crazy.
She went to level 10.
Yeah, I don't think that she really knew, exactly what level
That's
she
fair.
needed to hit. So
That's fair.
Or
She
she
just,
didn't
like,
care
hit-
and she
not
just
to 50 was what I thought of when I saw that from Princess Bride. You've never seen
No.
Princess Bride?
I have.
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
Yeah, where
I
the
was
torture
thinking
device
Princess
and he walks
Diaries.
in and
Yeah,
goes, not to 50.
Yes.
That's
I
what
didn't
was
think of
thinking
that, but yes.
So he's wrestling with this idea of wanting to continue his research, but genuinely seems like he wants to help the New Republic and he's grateful to not be in the Empire anymore. But then the girl, Kane or something, or
Elia Kane.
Elia Kane, she starts putting the seed into his mind of if your research is really that important and if it really can help people, then you need to do your research.
Yeah. Like, this is the thinking that got us in trouble in the first place.
Just following blind orders is
Yeah.
what got us in trouble.
That was a good line.
It was.
Good soldiers follow orders.
And she tries to manipulate him and gains trust by giving him the cookies and stuff from his MRE. And
that was rough, man.
dude, as soon as I saw
Really?
her,
We got you graham crackers, bro. They got Imperial logos on them.
as soon as I saw her, did you guys know that she was trouble right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I wanted to believe it just because I don't know. I just wanted to believe
Empire.
that
There's
she
gonna
would
be a rebel.
change.
Yeah,
But I thought she did a really good. The actress did a really good job.
yeah.
I
There
thought
was
it was
one line like
She did
early
good.
on in what she was doing. I can't remember what it was, but at some point early on, I was like, ugh, this does not. She didn't seem to fit in Star Wars for a minute.
I mean that whole conversation at the table
Yeah,
of the amnesty housing didn't feel like Star Wars, but
but we
I
just
was
don't
like,
see that part
yeah,
of Star
whatever.
Wars a lot. Like
Yeah.
people have regular conversations, you
We
know.
don't have downtime in Star Wars.
we only
very
see
often.
clones have downtime.
Yeah, and they're usually like joking about shooting stuff. So
Downtime, like they got shot, now they're down.
yeah. But it definitely did give you the idea that like all these people have fully integrated into being like my sole purpose now is to help the New Republic, which would not be just like the average citizen's purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have fully brainwashed these people into feeling that. I think these integration sites are pretty much doing that slight mind flaying or whatever they called it, the not mind flayer, but whatever device it was.
Like
And pretty much
Has it been modified?
people's brains have been put in this like state of utopia where they're like, if I do help the New Republic, I'm fulfilling my life's goal. And even if I'm doing this super menial task, I feel like I'm doing my part. You know what I mean?
Programming humans.
Yeah, they're pretty much
I like
programming humans. Exactly.
Restraining bolts.
I mean,
for everyone.
they're giving them numbers and everything. So you
I hate
understand.
it. I didn't like the number.
Yeah, but you understand why Pershing is like, I'm not actually helping that much. And even with his brainwashing, he feels like the way I can actually help the Republic and do my main purpose.
Which he just got started. He was there for like
it seemed a few
less
days
than a
only.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3-4 days before he changed his mind.
But he even asked the droid, my purpose is to help the New Republic. That supersedes everything. And when he realized that and the droid says yes, that's when he committed to
because he was able to rationalize it.
Exactly, to doing
fully rationalize.
His research continued. So she takes him there, and there were some things that didn't quite make sense. Like while they're on the ship, she's sharing names with him still, and like still trying to gain his trust, and like having a good at that point, it didn't seem to really matter. Still, like why would you be doing all of that if you're just planning on arresting him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
Like I'm sorry, I never introduced myself. Yeah, I think it's just so that we would know her name.
Yeah.
Or maybe so that we would sympathize with him more, feeling like he actually had a friend.
And also, we up to that point, we don't know that she's going to betray him.
Right.
So it also
when I watched
kind of
the second
helps the audience.
time, I was like, a real person that's planning on betraying this guy wouldn't bother giving him her name and stuff if she didn't need to.
Or maybe the policeman needed more time to get set up, and she was just stalling.
Perhaps.
The other thing, is it the betrayal? I think she might want to give him her name if it's personal for some reason.
Personal for her?
Yeah.
To betray him.
I don't know if this
as
is
if she's mad at him for betraying the Empire.
I don't know. That's the vibe I kind of got from it, was that
it seemed pretty personal when she turned up the mind flare.
Yeah. And like stayed to watch. It seems like she wants to get at him for something. Yeah. And so I feel like when people do that, they want the person to know that it was them.
Yeah. So let's get behind her motives.
I got an idea.
Go ahead, David.
So the one reason would be John's and I that we were thinking of first, that she wants to bring him back to the Empire, make him mad, make him resent him. The second would be just like she already said once that I was just a lonely engineer,
communications,
whatever, communications on the Star Destroyer. Like nobody knew who I was. Like I walked past you 100 times and you never knew who I was. And I'm like, yeah, what if she's just like bitter towards him because number one, he turned, to the number two, like she's getting punished for all being a grunt, being cannon fodder more or less.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's legitimate, but
I think she's got a bigger part to play.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be more than that. Like he experimented on her family or something like that.
That'd be wild.
I don't think it's very personal. I think it's more political / for the Empire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the Empire.
My guess is that she has been faking her integration, and she's gotten through all of this so that she could be the mole on the inside, kind of, right? And she's got a contact that, when Dr. Pershing arrived, either realized his research can't see the light of day, or the New Republic can't get their hands on it. So she does this to get him out of commission.
To get him caught.
Okay.
Or B, they want him to come back and continue his work. Or option C, they needed to get this started again, but didn't have the materials, and knowing that she could bring him onto the ship to gather the materials, because she takes
the right materials. Yeah.
She takes his lab.
True.
And that could have been the purpose of why she did that, to then pass it off to somebody else. So I
think all of those are.
I think one of those three options are the whole reason this happened. Especially because if she's going to fully flay his mind and wipe his memory, which has appeared to be what happened, his ability with this science, I imagine, is not going to be as strong, depending on what is erased in the memory. So I feel like the Empire no longer wants him. So they're getting rid of him as being an asset to the New Republic,
It's a cyanide
or a
pill.
potential leak, exactly, while also getting what they need out of him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what I believe it to be. I mean, I could definitely be wrong, but that's what makes the most sense to me.
I don't know why they would need him to pick out specific lab equipment, though. I feel like they would have recordings of what he did in their facilities and stuff like that. I feel like his mind would be more valuable if they want to continue the research.
And maybe they wouldn't want him because they don't trust him. You know what I mean? They already kind of saw.
Also,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's also stuff from like a mobile lab.
Yeah, and that
It's
they
not hard to
probably, if they
get.
got it off an Imperial Star Destroyer, they probably could have it on their own. It just, the only reason I say that is because she's the one that took the materials and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that'd be intentional. Otherwise, you would think that like one of the officers or something would have grabbed it.
Well, she was working with them, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it was just her removing them from him, and
So
like
then-
as a sign that she's betrayed him.
Yeah,
like,
I
on screen.
suppose. That's possible. The second question is she in like a authority position here? Like, was this whole thing laid out ahead of time? Like, she's in charge of other.
It sounds like
people?
she probably whistleblowed that he was doing this to the people up in there, and she probably set this up. I mean, said, "Hey, he's saying this stuff. I can kind of bait him along, and we can catch him in the act."
Yeah, I guess, and maybe we're just overthinking it because we're thinking about it more deeply than the writers themselves do sometimes. But like, to me, if she calls this out ahead of time, you feel like if all they're gonna do is just like continue his integration process and just give him more buzzes in his brains, then they probably would have just grabbed him before and said, "We know what you plan to do. We're gonna do this anyways." You know what I mean? Why like let him go through with all of it?
From a story perspective, it's not as interesting.
And lastly, the most unbelievable stunt I've ever seen in Star Wars history: jumping off a train blindly into a pillow.
She had done it before.
She had done it before. So when did she do it the first time? Like, you're just telling me that she was like, "And jump," and just got on.
Now that we know it's set up, they could have set up some
Still,
cushions.
like, you
That's a
have
very
to
precise
have
jump.
the perfect timing, and also to grab a guy to jump with you so that he knows how hard to jump, how far to jump.
Nah,
I
didn't.
I
just let that.
I
slip
saw that
by.
happen.
Didn't
I
even
was like,
cross my
there is
mind.
no possible way. Like, I can sound in space, no problem. I can deal with that. But jumping off this train that fast and just landing, first off, it wouldn't matter that you landed on a pillow. You're still rolling and breaking your neck. So
And you're flying inertia, baby.
Yeah, I was just like,
Going what, like, how fast was?
I mean, I know it was starting to slow down, but it was still going really fast.
You guys going like
60.
200 or more?
It was going quick.
Less?
It was going quick.
70, 60.
I don't know. I didn't have my radar gun out.
It was going fast enough to
Oh, bad
to kill
police.
you.
very hurt you. Very much hurt you.
So yeah, that's what's going on with Dr. Pershing.
We didn't talk about Coruscant at all.
It was cool to see. It was just as cool as it was to see
Didn't
in
even show the
Andor.
Jedi Temple. Lame.
That mountain idea was cool though.
It was
Yeah, I
interesting.
thought those-
It was.
liked
I was like, what the heck is that? And then they said, and I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, but
So-
like, think about it. Like imagine that we have one piece of ground showing. It's Mount Everest, and everything surrounding it is city. You think about it that way, it's like, dang, that's like I've always thought about Coruscant being a city, but
The whole
That's kind
planet.
of like Austin because there's the highest place here is like, like 200 feet above everywhere else,
yeah,
and it's just like a like 2-mile hike, like if that.
yeah.
I was gonna say that when they were walking through the carnival and the music was going off and stuff, I was thinking, what on earth am I watching? Like, what is this?
Until
It's
she
just-
betrayed him, I was just so confused as to why I was watching what I was
Yeah.
watching, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't it end? No.
You knew it had to be building to something. Like John said, this better have a pretty big payoff. So my guess is like it wasn't something personal, because if this is just to wrap up Dr. Pershing's story, it would be absolutely pointless. Like nobody cares.
Yeah, it would.
So it's definitely pointing towards something coming. And I know that we see more stuff on Coruscant, them talking about something coming, you know, a power that's rising. We see the captain, the guy that we've seen a few times, the Ranger of the New Republic or whatever. He's saying something like that in the trailer. So we're going to see something rise up as a power, and it's definitely going to be the Empire. We're just going to see how this episode connects to that. So,
Did you guys like the popsicles?
I thought they were funny.
It looked so weird when they were eating it because it was
Gummy.
I don't know if they were eating a green screen or what they were eating,
It had to have
but
been like a green popsicle, and they or something.
But it was like
yeah, and then they pull it out, and nothing had gone away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But how about the information droids from Clone Wars? They use those droids in Clone Wars.
Which
Both the
ones?
police
Yeah, I've seen
robots.
police robots before.
Oh,
in
yeah, the
Clone
police
Wars.
And I thought the face of the information droid, they used that as
I
well.
didn't remember that.
Maybe I'd have to see it.
So did you hear Happy Bendu Day?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, I didn't know what day it
Yeah.
was.
Bendu.
Bendu, the guy.
The
I think
Bendu.
from Rebels. The
Not
Bendu.
Yeah.
Bendu?
Because he's.
I don't know.
You know what? It probably does because without that guy, the Rebel Alliance would never have survived. Because
Yeah,
he
he
stopped
saved
Thrawn
them.
from destroying the entire.
But they don't
alliance.
know. They don't know what that is. They don't know Bendu.
Well, I'm sure that the stories were told of it. I mean, this big, huge, giant thing saved the
Nah.
whole
Skywalker,
planet.
bro.
How
They
would
don't-
that not be passed along to the whole galaxy?
Because only Kanan and Ezra knew his name,
They could
Hera?
have told.
and
they could have
Kanan
Hera?
died.
Hera was
Hera?
an officer in the New Republic.
No,
I'm sure that the
Sabine?
tale was told. All the people were there.
no.
Everyone
They
had to
had
ask
to
about
have-
what happened.
No,
No.
Guy?
they had to have credited them getting away from that planet to
To
something.
exactly.
And so they would have
There-
just been told that it was the Bendu.
I
And
don't. I disagree with
would have-
that.
Have
I
that
draw-
day to remember them doing.
I'm okay with 60 to 100 mile an hour train exits, but I'm not okay with.
I feel like that
The
makes so
Bendu
much
is-
sense. Why would that not be told about the whole galaxy once the Rebel Alliance moves on? Sup, Commander Chris.
Yeah, like as a government, if you're gonna like establish a day, it's like the day that
The
you
day
beat
the
the
rebellion,
Empire,
yeah.
and then
But that was
day.
one. That was one rebel cell.
No, that
No,
was
that
the
was
entire
all-
rebellion was there.
They
at
all
that
got
time.
together on that.
Then
planet.
where
Yeah,
was Leia there?
Well, no,
I
because she was
think
still a
s-
senator. She
No,
wasn't like.
I think she was there actually. I have
I
to go
don't
back
think
and watch
so.
the episode, but the entire Rebel
Okay.
Alliance fleet was there.
Yeah, like
That was
all
their
of them that were
base.
actively doing it full time.
Because that was
When
When
short.
was when did that
undercover
episode
warfare.
happen?
That was season
Timeline.
3 or 4.
I know it was at the
No,
end.
it's two. It was at the end of season 2.
Was it?
When-
No, it's 3. You're
It
right.
was 3.
It was
It's
Yeah.
the end of season 3.
So it was like
Yeah.
right before episode 4.
It was right before Kanan went blind, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He may have already
It's
been
when they're on
dead.
that rebel planet, and they have to like survive.
Yes.
Wasn't it that
Remember they
one?
had those spider things sticking all over the
Yeah.
place, the little antennas, because they
And they're
had
in, like,
they
a
were
desert
looking for
planet.
they were looking for a good base, and
This may have been the last
found it.
place, and this is where Thrawn and Ezra disappear. I think that's this place. This
I
one.
think that's what that is. Because
I think it's the
Was
end
it?
of the show.
It may have been.
yeah, because they were getting
actually.
attacked, and they just got the B-wings.
What with Bendu?
Yeah, when he
No.
does
No,
his
it was
lightning storm.
earlier on.
No,
No,
it was
season
when Thrawn lured them. He tricked Fulcrum.
Season
into
3 is the end of the
getting them
show.
All no, there's season 4.
3. Mhm.
Oh,
Season 4 ends on Lothal.
I know it
With the
ends, but
dome.
I'm Star Wars
With the Jedi
one.
Temple.
No, the Bendus. I don't even remember the planet. but
Bendu
Thrawn
attacks
like look
Thrawn.
at their base. Yeah.
Show me the season number.
But yeah, overall, I think we'll just have to see what happens from here. Like we said, next episode has to be starting the main conflict. There's 5 left, and it's just, in my opinion, when you have such short episodes and only 8 of them, everyone is so valuable. So this next one has to really get going with the main story. So that's what I expect.
Do you
to see.
think that they're gonna run 2 separate storylines with what's going on with Pershing and that and Mando, and then the season finale is gonna be those 2 conflicts intersecting?
I don't think so. I think it's gonna get connected next episode. It better. I don't think it would work well to run 2 separate storylines.
Okay.
There's just not enough.
There's just not enough. Like if we had 12 episodes or 16, maybe then you could. Or if your episodes were an hour and 10 minutes each, like like Game of Thrones or The Last of Us is, then you can maybe get away with that. But when you only have 8 half-hour episodes, you just can't do it.
Especially next week is going to be about 31 minutes.
including credits.
No, I think that's going to be screen time.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like we have to get moving into the primary, driving plot.
Because this episode was 52 minutes and it was 37 minutes of Pershing.
Yeah, it was mostly Pershing.
A lot of Pershing.
So we got 15 minutes of
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
We'll be getting the primary stuff here soon. All right, overall rating. I give this
Better be.
a 7. There's some really, if I could get some really good stuff to it, maybe like a 7.5. There's some really good stuff, but overall, just not what I was looking for in Mando, but it was still interesting enough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna knock it down.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Andor season 1 episode 14 was pretty good.
It was very
Yeah.
Andor-esque.
With the
I'd say
cubes.
7, just because of the cool fight scenes that kind of redeem some of the boring.
Oh yeah, was Pershing working in the same like cataloging
It probably was the
place?
same room, the same building.
Yeah, that
different
what's his
floor.
face? What was that guy's name? Cyril Karn.
Cereal Karn.
Cyril Karn and
No,
Pim
Cyril.
Pershing.
Penn.
Penn Pershing.
Penn and Teller.
I feel like they were working the same job. But yeah. CJ, what'd you give the episode?
I don't know. To me, it's really hard to rate this episode.
Without knowing
I
what
could
it's
see
set
giving
up.
it, yeah. If it's the setup to something really good, I could see giving it an 8.
Yeah, I think in
8 to
retrospect
even
it might be
9.
a better episode.
But like, if it's just by itself,
Yes, it's
it could be like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'd go
So-
7 to 7.5 for me.
Yeah, TBD. Will depend on
Yeah.
what it sets up.
I think it's better than the first episode because it does more for us than the first episode,
Agreed. I would
especially
agree
with
that.
with just
This-
the Mando scenes,
Yeah.
with 15 minutes.
This would arguably have been like a better starting point for some of it. I don't know.
Depending
Yeah,
on the future
I think
beats.
the best way that they could have launched this show would have been to put episodes 2 and 3 together into one episode, or like launch both of them on the same day, and then
And
not
have,
have
like-
episode 1.
Because then it sets up.
It sets up
Pershing.
the story exactly. Like I feel like
Yeah.
these first episodes have been our intro. You know what I mean? But it's taken
Yeah.
us 3/8 of our season to do it.
And episode 1 was an attempt to connect us to the Book of Boba Fett.
Exactly. Like
Which
they've
it
had,
didn't
Should
even
be
do.
forgotten.
they've had so much groundwork
Didn't
to
even
lay.
do.
You know?
Which is what they did in the
Ugh.
original Star Wars to make it work better. Introduce the villain first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know
How
who the
about-
villain is.
Well, I mean, like Pershing's like a
Palpatine.
trail, more or less loose trail. Good
To-
Imperial
to Gideon.
sympathizers.
If
This
they
is the
say
best we have.
somehow Gideon returned,
Jake.
I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, they already talked about Gideon, so we've got the beats are being laid.
yeah.
Getting
I
Gideon.
I will just be sick of seeing Gideon unless they, it could be done a certain way that it's not, but
Outside
I
of
want him
he's
to
a-
do more.
he's a good character. He
I just want
is.
to do more. Like
he was very disappointing in season 2.
Yes.
I'll
just
say
like
it.
in general, like he really just is a
He talks.
a command post figurehead,
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say?
a
What was I
mean
gonna
man.
say? Oh yeah, outside of Star Wars and all the press and stuff, Giancarlo Esposito has been in all the. He was on the
He's been on
carpet
the
when the
tour.
premiere. He's been at, he's
does
got
go
to
to
be
a
in
lot
the
of
season at some
Comic-Cons.
point.
I think he could be in it, but I think he has to, like we've
he
said
needs to have a
before,
boss.
Yeah, he can't be the main guy
Yeah.
again.
Mhm.
Which I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to get Gideon next episode, and then by the end of the season, we'll get his boss, whoever that is.
Certainly hope so.
Somehow, Grand Moff Tarkin returns.
Also, well,
Do you guys have time to talk about the Bad Batch briefly?
sure.
Amazing.
I mean, it was not great. It was better than some of the other bad
Was it, though?
episodes. I think that
They go on vacation and then they
they
stay
do, but it makes sense for their characters. Like this is what
Yeah.
they've been looking for: is a way that they can keep Omega safe and they don't have to be on the run. So it makes sense that they're trying to,
Do something.
weed themselves off from Sid, right? We said they need to get away from Sid. And it makes sense that they would look for a safe place. And they've got a safe place where everyone fits in and they're happy to be there. They throw in
It's
some
funny that the
earthquake
day they
conflict.
show up,
Yeah,
the day
first
they
time
show
something
up
happens in 30 years.
in 30 years.
Classic.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
I think
But-
it's gonna set up them having their last like main conflict. And
Yes.
it's gonna have something to
they-
do with the Empire.
I very
coming
much
to this
agree.
place.
I think that we're pretty easily set up about as far
Like
as
Crosshair's
what's about
gonna
to
show up.
happen.
Next
No,
episode is going to be
Crosshair's
about
not going to
Crosshair.
show up. What's going to happen is
Do
now
tell,
that they've
do tell.
separated themselves from Sid, Sid is going to let the Empire know. She's
Because
probably
she has a
she
tracker
probably
on their
has
ship.
a tracker on their ship. Exactly. She knows exactly where they are.
She should put a chip in their heads, and then like she can control them.
So she
Give 'em
probably
orders
has a
and
tracker
stuff.
on their ship, or she assumes that they were
Maybe
with what's her
65
face or
orders.
something. And she's gonna let the Empire know where they are because she's no longer valuable to them. The Empire is already looking for Omega, so a bunch of commandos are gonna storm that village or whatever.
Kill innocents.
Kill innocents. Republic commandos are, and they're gonna take Omega. Minimum. Maybe they take everyone, but they're at least gonna take Omega. And then whether the Bad Batch has to follow and go get hers is going to be the next episode. And the finale, because I think there's only 2 left, right? There's 16 episodes.
16,
I don't know.
believe.
16.
So there's 3 left.
Okay. So, yeah, it would make sense to me. Episode 14 is they Republic commandos and some other stormtroopers come and raid this island, take Omega. Episodes 15 and 16 are them going to get her from Mount Tantus. They see that Crosshair is there. Crosshair tries to help them. And then Crosshair either sacrifices himself to save them, or Tech sacrifices himself to save Crosshair. One of those.
Now
two is
that
gonna
Tech
happen.
has a lady friend.
Not
Did
Yeah.
any of you guys pick that up?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about it in theories
Were
chat,
they actually?
and he didn't pick up on it, but I was like,
Really?
it was awkwardly there.
Mhm.
You're too much of a
This
nerd.
is very clear.
Like, I feel like it wasn't 100% clear, but it was like 69% clear.
Nice.
Did you
And-
like? Oh, go ahead.
And I just was like, why? She's been jokingly calling him Brown Eyes the whole show, or however long she's been here. And then now all of a sudden,
And they all have brown eyes.
like, it feels like he just realized that.
Well, Tech's
He thinks
not
she's
the
flirting.
best on social cues.
I know, but it was just like, why?
That's been established as a plot point.
Why?
Did
Yeah,
you
with
like-
Omega.
Did you like how, despite the fact that they weren't on a mission and Omega goes and runs off and gets lost and they have to save her, they still made a way for
Again.
Omega to be separated and they have to go save her again.
Yep,
Even
I
though it
was
only
like-
took 15 seconds.
I was like, did we just redo the plot, but in like a
A new
slightly
way.
different way? A little less obvious of a
Make
way.
the bad guy nature, Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Technically, the
Just
Force.
a delayed Omega like getaway.
The Force was the bad guy there.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else really to talk about, I don't think.
But they would make a boat wouldn't have flying capabilities,
I don't know. That makes
Like,
sense. I mean, like,
an emergency capability to just hover above the water.
do all boats that we have turn into planes?
Okay,
That's
well,
what land speeders
They don't have
do.
spaceships, so
Hover.
it didn't even have a rudder and a motor. It was powered by a flying engine.
So it just had the ability to go forward, but not up.
Correct.
Or maybe
Which
the
I feel
little
like-
girl didn't know how to do that.
Doesn't it take twice as much power to go forward and up?
It could just have
John.
a couple
fighting
of
gravity.
stabilizers on the front of the boat.
I mean, sure, I'm sure they exist, John. They just didn't have that model.
John, there's a lot
Jeez.
more things to be mad about.
Large Mace Windu didn't believe in that.
Yeah, I did like Fat
banned
Mace
it?
Windu. He was cool.
Especially
Yeah,
when
no
Wrecker
flying,
looked
it's a
at
no
him, he's
flies.
like, another big man that's not very smart.
Oh, Wrecker was so annoying.
And then
Oh,
the
I'm
ladder-
never full.
Every episode, dude, like,
The
doesn't do
ladders
anything.
as a defense mechanism.
Dude
Like,
has-
how many people can fit on those ladders before it just breaks because no one's used them in 100 years,
yeah.
30
Good
years?
question.
They're Star Wars
this
ladders.
many.
Dude, imagine how much shaking there would be, like in
Yeah.
the middle.
Oh, and there's a freaking earthquake going on.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way I will walk up.
I'd be like, I will take my chances with swimming.
And then the old guy got the best ride up.
He's like, I'm not deaf, but I have no idea what's going on. I'm just old and senile. Like the dude's carrying on perfect conversations and just watching the whole village run by.
And he's
like,
walking.
wonder what's going on here. What the heck, dude?
Oh my word!
Maybe
and then,
he was like deaf and blind or something.
He should. Yeah, why didn't he have a hover wheelchair?
Yeah,
It's a good question.
So
Grogu has one.
when nighttime happened and Fee and Tech are having their romantic moment, I expected the sunlight, which I think my idea was better. So I expected there to be some sort of mechanism that the sunlight would go through, and every night it kind of shoots through this giant glass and lights
that'd
up.
Be cool. The whole village. Yeah, they're just like, look at all the pretty lights. I was expecting something much better. Like, it's beautiful. He's like, wait till you see this. You're like,
we've got LED
lights.
No, they're not even LED. They're like
it's just a city. Like,
it's a random city, man.
And I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff here, and nobody knows about it. I just don't understand anymore.
What do you mean?
The island.
What do you mean about that?
what all the stuff on the island?
Like, didn't it seem like they had a whole lot of like power and like?
Oh, like it's the secret place.
Yeah, it'd be really hard to miss that place, man.
Yeah.
The place would light up from space.
And the Empire doesn't want them. The Empire doesn't want vacation.
Or like
they don't want to set up a
food.
timeshare there.
Yeah.
They're not that evil.
Isn't that like Italy? Isn't this just like Italy, but
It looked like Greece.
a little different?
Malta?
Yeah.
Is it Malta? What's the island that has all the houses on the?
Yes.
Yeah, but even the lights. Did you know like the camping lights you take that have little button on the
lantern?
side?
Yes.
No, but it has like the lights, the fluorescent
Yes.
lights that. Yeah, that's what their lights were.
Yeah.
They didn't
the
even
bug zappers.
Yeah. And none of them crashed, so they're very durable.
Well, no, there were some that fell over, but they didn't.
Well, they fell up, but they didn't crack. Yeah.
Weebles, well,
That's what I
they
meant.
don't fall down.
Correct.
Wait, that's not right. You guys
I
ever
don't
hear
know.
that joke before?
No.
Not worth it. Save it for another time.
How about the monkeys though? So cool.
The lemurs.
They all looked like they were zooted out of their mind
I
because
don't
their
even
eyes were all
remember what you're
bloodshot.
talking about. I paid so little attention to this episode.
I know. I was like, I don't even remember this, John.
Yeah,
so
no, they had
remember it.
monkeys.
Continue.
They had monkeys with orange eyes, and it looks like their eyes were just bloodshot, and they were all.
And they were just all smoking weed.
Bad monkeys.
What else are you gonna do on the island?
The tropical islands.
I'll give it a 5.5. It was fine.
I'm trying to think what else. Something else happened.
Not really.
I mean, their rationale for the Empire not showing up was kind of weak.
I'm
Yeah, I
sure.
don't think-
I'm sure that the Empire's gonna show up next episode. Nothing else.
I know,
really
I
makes
was like,
sense. they
well,
don't have a reason to leave, so I'm sure that they're gonna be forced to leave.
Yeah, that
Maybe
whole
just
ending.
like-
I didn't buy that ending. Yeah, we're gonna stay here forever.
I think it makes sense. I mean, that's what he's been saying is they want to have a ability to live without having to be on the run. Like that's the whole reason Echo left. Is that's not what he wanted. He wanted to fight the Empire. They don't want to. If they wanted to fight the Empire, they would have.
I thought they still wanted to do jobs and stuff, and
The only reason they did jobs was to get money so that they could live on their own. But whenever they made a penny, they lost 2.
maybe I missed that part.
It's very easy to miss things with this show because it sucks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because I stopped paying attention after like 2 minutes.
Sid is the main antagonist.
Yeah, it was good last episode. That one with Crosshair was great.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just when the Bad Batch has the Bad Batch, it's not good. So
I mean, maybe this is this not the Wii Sports Resort Island? I
okay,
think that's what this is.
I think we've run our course on this episode of the Rogue Podcast.
Almost a battery.
You play table tennis.
Thank you guys
Take
so
a break.
much for
Take a
watching
break every 30 minutes and go outside.
or listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be getting back next week with episode 4 of Mando.
Hopefully
and,
a banger.
yeah, I imagine it's gonna be pretty good. It doesn't make sense for it not to be.
31 minutes.
That is
That
tough.
means I can fit it in the morning though. And
Yeah,
to...
I'll fit it
that
in
is
during my
true.
lunch break. Although I'd like to watch it on TV though. Again, for the
Early
first
morning
time.
Mando's nice.
You have to let me know. That was nice, John, that you let me know that I could watch it
Yeah.
on my phone.
yeah, like literally this one is
I mean,
nothing too crazy.
It was cool to see Coruscant in my TV though. Coruscant's always cool to see.
Tongs Day, am I right?
Yeah, Tongs Days. Is that what they call them?
That's some other day. Tuesday, Tongs Day.
All All right, guys. Thanks so
I like
much.
it.
Bendu
We will
Day.
catch you next week, and may the force be with you.
Happy Bendu Day.
Send us off, John.